Alright guys, so if you are a plant person or if you do home gardening, I've got something really useful for you. This is going to be unique, I guess, because a lot of people do book ranking using tier maker. I'm going to do this for gardening books that will help you to select which book you should choose to make your gardening better. There is a lot of data and books that are available on the internet, and people have rated them according to their choice. Like someone has rated according to if they like the author or how the author has presented the idea, or whether it is in general good for gardening or plantation and so on. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to choose those books or rank those books at the top, which will help you in your home gardening journey, and I'm going to rank those books low, which won't be helpful in your gardening journey. That might be a good books, but that won't help you in your gardening journey. If there is any book that you like a lot, but I have ranked it low, that doesn't mean that book itself is not a good book. But the point here is that because that book might not be helpful in your home gardening journey, so that's why I have ranked it low. So don't get upset if your gardening book has been ranked low. So let's get started and rank these gardening books on the tier maker so that it can help you choose the best book for your gardening journey. Let's start. Before I start ranking, let me just change the name of the tier so that it will become more comfortable for you guys to understand like what we need to do and what not. So let's say I do have a category of must read. Like this is the top tier. So it's a must read. And then I would say it's a should read. Like every home gardener should read. And then there is a, I would say, not bad category. I will put the book that are not bad. Like if you have read all the must read and should read books, you can go for these books. And then I would put a category that is just kind of like a waste of time reading. If you are specifically looking for the gardening thing, this will be kind of like a waste of time thing. Or I can say time waste. Time waste. And then after that, I would say like not recommended. So in this category, I'm going to put those books that won't help you in your gardening journey, not recommended. So first book on our list is All New Square Foot Gardening. Okay, not gonna lie, this is, I would say, one of the good books that can help you in your gardening. So in general, this book talks about how you can grow your garden or your cultivation in a small area. If you don't have a large farm or if you don't have a large area for your gardening, this book is going to be helpful for you. I'm saying so because this book talks about like vertical gardening. They talk about like how to cultivate in a small area. If you do have a small area, this book will talk about like how you can choose that area for a vertical gardening. It talks about the mulch mix. That is actually a very useful thing. Even if you don't have, garden area or a good soil for gardening, with the help of this mix, you can literally pot or plant anywhere. This mixture will be useful for your gardening. So you don't need to specifically have a garden or a suitable soil for your garden. So even if you don't have that, this smell mix will help you achieve that. Even on the poor soil, you can just use this mixture and you raise the level of your soil, and this mixture will be helpful for any kind of plants. You don't need to have a specific type of soil or garden for your gardening. But one of the cons for beginners in this book could be that it might take more than required cost, because this mulch mix and all the stuff they're talking about, like the wooden box and everything, it will require initial cost that you might have to bear, but it's a good book for any home gardener. So this first book, All New Square Foot Gardening, I would put it into a should read category. Okay, now let's move to our second book, that is Maximize Your Mini Farm. Okay, so as the name suggests, it's not just about the gardening, it's about the farm, but it talks a lot about the gardening itself. I won't say it is just out of the context. It talks about the gardening, nutrition of plants, that will definitely help you in gardening. But the point is that if you are just considering about your home gardening, this might be not a good read for you, because it not only talks about the plant nutrients and gardening, but it also talks about like raising chickens and like livestock. In general, this book is about this sustainability. Like we can create an ecosystem on a small area of land that is sustainable. Overall, it's not a bad read. The ideas are presented very clearly and everything is fine. But the thing is that it's not very efficient for beginner home gardeners, because it not only talk about the gardening itself, but whatever part of gardening it's talk about is literally helpful. So I wouldn't say it's just a trash or it's very helpful, but I'm gonna put it in a not bad tier, because definitely if you have already read the must read and should read books, you should go for this. But it's not all about the gardening. Okay, so next book on our list is Farming the Woods. This book talks more about the agriculture thing, like planting the non-timber and timber fibers. It's not about a home gardening thing, but it's about the general professional people who are looking to get something out of the large piece of lands that we generally don't have at our homes, and instead we do have small spaces. So I wouldn't think so this book will be helpful for home gardeners. This book is for someone who is looking to work professionally and trying to raise some non-timber and timber products from the gardening. Definitely not recommended for someone who is doing home gardening, because it doesn't tell about the specific gardening techniques or tips. Instead, it talks about the professionalism. Besides that, it also talks about the agriculture and the animal raising thing, farming thing. So it's more about sustainability instead of like home gardening thing. So that's why I'm going to put this one in not recommended category. Okay, so next book on our list is Goldmary's Gladstar Medicinal Herbs. You might find me a little biased and unfair about this, like why I have put this book on this category, but it's not just important for home gardeners. I would say this book should be read by everyone who is trying to live a healthy life, because it talks about like harvesting and growing those herbs and plants in our house that can naturally heal and help us build our physical self. So it's not just about the gardeners, but definitely it's a must-read book. I would say it's a must-read book for gardeners. It would not only help you understand the natural things or the ingredients that we already have in our homes, how to use them, but it will also motivate you and give you the reason for what you should do in your gardening. Instead of just planting the roses and goldmarys, what else you should grow that would help you in your general and day-to-day life. It's talk about the usage and plantation of gingers and garlics and turmeric, that how we can use them as a medicine in our day-to-day life. So that's why I'm going to put this one in a should read category. Okay, so next book on our list is Carrots Love Tomatoes. This is not for someone who is absolute beginner. This is for someone who is already in the gardening stuff for a bit more time, like at least for 6 months or a year, because this book teaches the techniques of which two plants go well together and which differ each other. Most of the time it talks about the combination. Suppose if you are planting a tomato plant and a carrot plant, they will help and support each other to kill the pest, to improve the soil, because one ingredient or one nutrient that one plant requires is released by the other. But there are some plant combinations that don't go well together. Like if you are planting tomatoes with the broccoli, then they both require the same thing and they both release the same thing. So this combination is not going to do good with each other. So it's all about like which two plants or which two herbs should go together. It's not something for a beginner, or it's not going to help you in the gardening thing. But if you are specifically in the farming, this book would be a must read. But because in this video we are talking about like for a beginner gardeners, I'm going to put this one in a time waste category, because if you're going to read this one, you will not learn about the gardening. Instead, you will learn more about the combinations. So next book in our category is Let It Rot. This book teaches one of the most essential component, that is compost science. But the problem with this book is that it just focuses on the compost thing. Though it is very helpful, and I would say it is recommended for all the gardeners, because it teaches you how you can use waste material from your house and from your yards and make the compost out of it without spending a lot of money on it. So it definitely makes your soil much better and much rich without putting a lot of efforts and money into it. So it should be a should read book, but I won't put it into a should read category, because it just talks about one topic, that is composting, and it doesn't teach you about other topics in the gardening stuff. So that's why I can't put this one in a should read or must read. I'm going to put this one into a not bad category. Okay, so next book on our list is Reading the Forested Landscape. This book is nothing about gardening. It's more about ecological and historical background of like where plantation or vegetation harvesting or farming did well. So I would say for the gardeners or the home gardeners, it's not a recommended book, because it's not going to teach you anything about the gardening or the home gardening. It's all about the ecology thing. If someone is planning to settle somewhere and they are in the farming thing, then this book is for those, because it will teach you which land part is better for which yield or crop. So it's more about the ecological part and the nature, but it doesn't teach you anything about the gardening specifics. So I would say for a beginner gardeners or home gardeners, it's a not recommended category book. So next book on our list is Weedless Gardening. We all don't like the weeds, and we don't like the weeding itself. And especially if you are a busy person, you would definitely not like weeding. And if you don't want to involve other person in your gardening thing, then definitely it could be hectic task to do weeding a lot of time. So this book is all about a weedless gardening. That means it can either eliminate or at least minimize your weeds. So it talks about the techniques, how mulching can help you get rid of these weeds and how it can make your gardening process much easier. But it might be a little bit expensive for you initially. It would be helpful for you and it would prevent you from a lot of weeding things. So that's what I would say for any gardener, whether you are a home gardener, farmer, or any kind of gardener, you should read this book. That's why I'm going to put this one in a should read category. Okay, so now we have Miss Rumpus on our list. Talking about this book, it's a wonderful read, but if you talk about the gardening stuff, it doesn't teach you about the gardening stuff, but it can help you fall in love with gardening because it's all about a lady named Alice who travels the world, and upon settling, she decided to make this world a beautiful place. And to achieve this, she started spreading the lupine seeds wherever she goes, so that whenever and wherever she goes, there would be some trees and some beautiful plants all over there. So it could be a good motivational book for someone who is starting the gardening, because it will show the other part of the world that by plantation, by gardening, by farming, how can we make this world a better and beautiful place. But it has nothing to do with the gardening stuff. So I would say for a beginner gardener, it should be in a not recommended category because it won't teach you anything about gardening. It's all about to make you fall in love with gardening. That's why I'm putting this one in not recommended category. Now let's move to our last book, The New Organic Grower. I haven't put any book yet in the must-read category, but I'm going to place this one in a must-read category. Now, why I am doing this is because it is a genuine guide for someone who is interested in organic farming, intensive gardening. It teaches the techniques like crop rotation and how to keep your soil fertilized and other techniques that are helpful in gardening. So it covers all the basics that you need for a gardening. So whether you are a beginner gardener or you are doing gardening for a long time, there would be something in this book that would help you out. So I would recommend, if you are going to start your gardening journey or you are already in your gardening journey, you should read this book. So that's it for today. So these are the 10 books that I have ranked according to how much they are going to help you in your gardening journey. But there might be several other books that I might have missed. So let me know in the comment section which books I should include in this list or I should read for my gardening journey. See you.